Hi guys, and welcome back to the fourth part of the Fathom Watches collector video series. And today we finally managed to persuade G to come in and have a chat with us about his wonderful array of watches. Also known as Solid Caseback on Instagram. I'm sure you're all aware of him, and I'm sure you've listened to his voice for many hours, as have I. We hope you enjoy the video, and let's get going. So, welcome G.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for finally accepting my invitation to come here.
And I dressed up just for you.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm a little bit disappointed actually.
Well,
were you taking the bins out this morning? Sorry. Yeah. In all seriousness, it's great to have you on the video, and you've brought a lot of trinkets with you, from what I can see. And I want to start where I normally start, which is, tell us about how you got into this fantastic hobby of ours and what sort of set it off for you.
I thought you meant you were going to start with being insulting, but...
No, that's after.
Sure, okay, no problem. How did I start with this? I suppose I always had a watch, and my dad used to go away on business, and he'd sometimes come back and he'd get me a watch, when I was a little kid. So I'd like have a little Snoopy watch or something like that.
Yeah, nice.
And there were a couple of digital watches over the years. He got me a really cool Space Invaders watch. And there was a Pac-Man watch which had an actual joystick.
Wow.
On the, wow, right? Cutting edge. So.
And where are they?
Well, yeah, they've been lost to the sands of time.
That's a shame.
But it does explain why I got a D in Maths GCSE, really. That foundation was never strong. But I did get a watch on my, I think, 11th birthday, which was a Citizen ProMaster. They called it like a surfboarding watch or windsurfing watch. But the important thing about it is it had 4 buttons, 2 buttons on each side of the case.
Right.
One of which was orange.
Okay.
And the orange theme will come back in later years.
So what sort of era are we talking here? 80s? Mid-80s?
Yeah, so you're probably looking 85-ish.
Okay,
84,
yeah.
85. So, and the real point here is that was a watch that I had on my wrist. I kept that watch till my mid-20s. It was just my watch. But I got out of my head when I was staying with a friend in New York. We went to a movie and I lost the watch in the cinema, apparently. I took it off.
Oh, no.
Didn't realise until the next day. But what that did was it made clear in my mind that I was able to keep a watch.
Yes.
And at this point, now that I had a little bit of budget and a half-decent job, I thought, wow, it's time to get a proper, actual mechanical watch.
What era are we now talking?
So we're in 2004.
2004, okay, fine. And what was that watch?
So I got an Omega Seamaster Professional 300M 225450.
Nice.
Which was the black dial with the sword hands.
Yeah. Peter Blake.
The Peter Blake. Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
So automatic with the Speedmaster bracelet, not the shit Seamaster bracelet.
Would have been like a bullet type bracelet at the time.
Yeah, it was like the untapering.
Yeah.
Awful
with a single lock clasp.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
And I had that watch for 16 years.
Wow.
So I wore it every day for 12 years, give or take an Omega service here or there.
Interesting. Also an interest, also something I want to ask you, because people who listen to your podcast, at That Watch Podcast, if you don't listen to it, which is probably
Thank you very much.
Unusual if you don't, you've proclaimed, you said recently that I remember that issue you had with your Speedmaster where you brought it in for service, it came back, it stopped working, and went back again. What was it like? What was your ownership like with that Peter Blake when you had it? Because 16 years is a long time.
Yeah, fantastic watch.
Never
watch.
Just reliable.
Even then, I didn't have an app for it, obviously.
God.
But even then, I was conscious of how it ran and its accuracy, and it ran great. Magnetized quite easily next to big studio speakers and stuff.
Okay.
But other than that, it was golden. I knocked on a door jamb once and the bezel insert popped out. But other than that...
Do you still have it?
No, I sold it. So in 2000, well, I sold it. I'd had it until 2020, coming out of lockdown, and my father had passed away during lockdown, and I'd gone to his funeral wearing that watch, and the next day I looked at it and just thought, right, that's it.
You had your time.
It's time to move this one on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a weird moment, but actually I'd have to go back to 2016. So I'd owned it for 12 years and I got a bumper bonus from work and I thought, I'm going to get myself a Rolex.
Ooh.
So I went on to Rolex.com and I just probably started reading 2016.
Okay, so before Rolex Mania had properly kicked in.
So it hadn't kicked off yet.
You could still go into a Rolex AD and see things that were actually for sale.
Not only see things. So I went on to Rolex. I'd started reading Hodinkee within a year before this happened. So I was just sort of, you know what I mean. But you know, it was the olden days.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went on to Rolex.com, and at the time I wasn't really into Rolex, and I just thought it was quite flashy and all of that. But I saw a Hulk, which I didn't know was called a Hulk, but I saw this green Submariner and I thought, it will be mine.
Okay.
So I phoned around a few ADs, and the fifth one I called said, yeah, got one right here. And I went, cool, I'm on my, can I come and get it later on? And he was like, no. He was like, half an hour. And I was like,
no way.
I was like, you're 60 minutes away.
I'm assuming a London-based AD then?
Yeah.
Somewhere within 30-minute drive?
One Hyde Park.
Were they within a 30-minute?
Were they far? No, so I said, oh, look, an hour, and he kind of like went, fine. Anyway, so I was there within the hour, and they had it right there. They had a black one, they had a James Cameron Sea Dweller. They basically had everything other than Daytonas.
Right, yeah, okay.
And so yeah, I pulled the trigger on that, loved it. Still had a little bit of bonus left over.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later was walking past the Omega boutique, which was then in White City, and they had a little Tintin in the window for under $3,000, which was then what a Speedmaster cost.
And how much was the Hulk at the time?
Six grand on the nose.
And what are they now? For like a Starbucks?
Oh,
Well, now like
10 grand.
10 grand?
10 grand,
Wow.
something like that, I think. Best part of, so.
Yeah, nice.
And so I picked up the Tintin as well, much to my lovely wife's consternation.
Wow.
But $3,000 for that. And so there went my bonus. But it was kind of getting the Hulk was probably when I shifted away from the Omega.
Yeah.
And getting the Tintin was clearly now in retrospect where I had a problem.
Okay.
And that was kind of it at that point.
And out of those two watches that you just explained, you don't have
none of those.
None of those.
Today.
Okay. So what's the oldest? I say oldest. Let me rephrase. What's the watch that you've owned the longest that you still have?
It is this bad boy right here.
The 14060
M.
4-liner. So it would have been 2007 onwards.
Yeah, that one's 2012.
Wow.
So that's a random serial. So that's the final production.
Yeah, you'll have the upgraded hairspring as well.
That's right. So it's got the blue parachrome.
Yeah.
It's got the random serial number engraved in the reho.
Lovely.
Box papers, 5300 from a...
5300. What year was this?
So I got that in 2017. So that was just over... So it was 5,300 at the time.
So a year after you got the Hulk?
Year after I got the Hulk. So my great aunt had passed away, left me a little bit of money, and I really wanted to get into the old school case sub, but I was scared shitless of vintage.
Isn't that funny? Even though that's, when you bought that watch in 2017.
It was 5 years old.
It was only 5 years old.
That's right.
But you happen to choose one of the watches where it feels more like a vintage watch. The last watch to ever have a hold case.
Exactly.
And I, in Rolex's wisdom, it was the only watch that never had solid end links as well.
Right.
So you get that jangle that you don't get with a SEL bracelet. So this must have felt a bit of a jump on the wrist to your Hulk.
So when I got it shipped over and I opened the box and I took it out of the box, I thought,
Is that
It's
it?
a fake.
It's a fake, yeah,
It's a
'cause it's so
fake.
small.
Oh my God. I've been ripped off. It's so light.
That's so funny.
And I went onto all the websites like Bob's Watches and stuff where they tell you, look
No
out for
way.
this and do that. And eventually, 10 minutes later, my heart rate dropped back to normal. I had assured myself that everything was cool with it. But yeah, it's the sweet spot of Rolex's 5-digit. It becomes incorporated with sort of what became 6-digit technology. And of course, 6-digit had launched in what, 2006, 7?
2006, 7, yeah.
So the GMT was the first one out the blocks.
Yeah, the 116
case, 710.
6710 LN was the first, 2007, I think.
And so you've got all that good stuff going on here, and it's got a 3130 movement in it anyway, which runs a dream. And I don't think this has ever been touched or opened.
No, that's great.
It was a one-owner watch when I got it, and I just love it.
And since you've owned it, these are by far, these and the 16570s are by far the most popular 5-digit watches. I'd say 14960Ms, 16570, 16710s.
Yeah.
Those three models, if you find a good one, they never last more than a few days. And I think people are realizing that the modern counterpart of all of these watches, and you saw it firsthand with your Hulk, it just feels like a world away. Even though you're talking 4 or 5 years, between the watch you bought and this,
100%.
on the wrist, it's a different ball game.
And the Hulk I loved, and there was something so reassuring about that, the click of the clasp and all of that, and the safety catch on it. It's like the Mercedes door that they've tested 10 million times before, And the bezel action on that Hulk was just, it was like when Brad Pitt's breaking into a safe in a casino.
That lovely click.
That super smooth clicking action.
Well, especially coming from a Peter Blake, that's got
immovable.
That's got like a half an equator between the clicks.
And it's
comparatively to the Rolex one,
that is different. the weak link in that watch. But this is like a real. I'd really come to appreciate the 14060M over the 6-digit equivalent, because obviously it's just so much more streamlined in terms of the case shape. It's just that sweet spot of the old school, the new technology. Yeah. And I think 5-digit is really my happy place in Rolex.
And I think a lot of people are following suit. Certainly as well, where people in society now, everything's big. Like cars are bigger, people are bigger on the whole, watches are bigger. And actually, there's no reason for watches to be any bigger. And I see it in the showroom day in, day out. The average wrist size I see in the showroom is 16 to 17 centimeters, which is probably exactly where you are.
Yeah, I'm 16 and a half.
And a perfect watch size for that is between 34 and 38 mil, or a slim 40.
100%.
And when people go and buy a brand new watch, and often the first time they've tried and worn that watch on is when they've walked out the AD. People don't realise how big a modern Explorer 2 is, how big a modern Pepsi is, how big a modern Sub is when you try on a 5-digit watch that's 10 or 15 years older. Well, ergonomically, it's so good.
100%, and it's fascinating, isn't it, when you look back through Rolex, for example, and you go to a 6239 or those early 62 reference subs, and they're all small. And then you think, oh, well, a 5512 or a 5513 or, the 5-digit stuff, and you've gone up to like what they say was 40 mil, but really, what is it, like 39-ish?
Yeah, but again, diameter of a watch is one part of the story.
Sure.
Because you have, the way when they move to 40 mil, but with the maxi cases. Yeah. So that they can polish them endlessly without them looking thin. Visually, they just wear differently.
And it's a chunk on the wrist even then. But then you go, like you say, to a 42 mil modern Explorer 2. And I had one and loved it, but in the end, I just had to get rid of it because it was just too much steel for my wrist. But you see how Rolex has just gone from one end, and now I'd love to see them go back again, because I've really, and there are some watches here which I'm sure we'll talk about, but between 36mm Explorers or the Hoya CS3111 or the Studio Underdog, or the Black Bay 54. The diameter of those watches is so good on my wrist.
And I think brands are starting to pay attention to it now. Like Blancpain have now re-released 50 Fathoms in 38mm.
Yeah.
And that's caused a stir.
Yeah.
And I think that's the direction that brands need to go.
The new Breguet Type 20.
And the new Breguet Type 20. And Tudor have obviously experimented with the smaller watches, hence why the BB54 is so popular.
It's amazing.
Because it's such a perfect watch to wear. And I think Tudor will, I think Rolex will follow suit eventually, because they'll.
And I think it's such a strength of Tudor's to just say there are lots of different people with lots of different wrist sizes, and we're going to cater to all of them.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic.
Of which there are a few. I say a few. There are more than a few Tudors.
There's the odd one here
on this table,
but of varying sizes as well, which we'll get into. Where do you want to go next?
So you got the 14060M. That's the longest watch you've had. You then, at the time, you owned a Hulk, which is no longer with us.
A Tintin.
A Tintin.
Yeah.
The 14060M.
Yeah.
And then
I got a 1660324 Watchco Seamaster 300, which for those
really cool.
Which for those who don't know is they get an old Omega Caliber 550.
Yes.
Is that right? Which they'll have got out of any number of old Omegas. They take the original movement, they service it, and then they get service parts, service case, service dial, hands, crystal, the whole lot. Put it all together and make a quote-unquote new Seamaster 300, like the 165024, which is the no date,
that's what my wife
or
has,
the 166024, which is the date.
Because he did a couple. My wife Abigail's actually got one, and I think I had it. That one's actually even got a tritium bezel.
Wow, amazing. Not the service bezel.
No, where he'd had some lying around. This was early on. This was like a similar time to what you're saying, maybe even a bit earlier. But they're a fantastic watch, and I say running still runs really well to this day. My wife
they're brilliant.
Still wears it.
I had mine for a few years, and I really enjoyed it. I moved it on just to get into something else, but I got that. I got a Mitsukoshi mod.
Oh yeah. The White
Speedmaster.
Yeah.
It was a. Trying to think of the reference number. It was a 357050.
Yeah.
So like a late 90s speedy, and someone had just switched out the dial and the handset.
Yeah.
And so for those who don't know, the Omega had made a Mitsukoshi, for the Mitsukoshi retail store.
Yeah, just
in
for the
Japan,
Japanese market. Yeah.
300 units with a panda dial essentially, although it's more silver than white, with a silver, or I should say a steel handset on it, and it just looked the bomb. I ended up getting rid of that because my eyesight became as middle-aged as I am, and I couldn't tell the time on it. But that's kind of what I was doing. I was dabbling then into sort of Omega and going back into their catalogue and stuff that was sort of essentially modded.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about it in those ways. I just looked at it, thought it looked cool, and I was attracted to the idea of something that looked old, but was modern at the same, mechanically more modern.
So what led you to go from, say, the Hulk to the 14060? What did you do to get to that point? Because they're very different watches, and normally what happens is, if your first Rolex is a modern, you kind of stick with that and you want to keep going forward with the brand. Certainly at that point in time, pre-COVID, it's far more common now for people to be looking into vintage. But then, to go back to an earlier watch was actually quite rare. What was it that made you even have that foresight to go, I wonder what it's like to...
I'd love to suggest that it was something really profound, but I think it was quite superficial. I just thought they looked really great. And I'd started reading Fratello, and there's one of the founding writers of Fratello is a guy called Mike Stockton, and he wrote a fantastic piece about the 14060M, which just was right at the time I'd started looking on Chrono 24, and that really pushed me into a place where I was looking to buy. Because it just convinced me about all of the pros of that watch, all of the great stuff about it. And the way he wrote about it was very much in the context of he'd picked his up literally on the eve of, well, not literally on the eve, but like 2 months before Rolex phased out the 14060M and replaced it with the 11460. And he'd sort of seen that coming because obviously 2 years earlier they'd switched the sub date up to a maxi case, So he was like, well, this is probably my last chance. He saw one in the store.
Nice.
And he was like, grab it. And so, you know, and it was funny back then, you sort of, I'd watched the prices on them go from 4.5 into the 5s. And it just seemed like clear that that's where prices were going. And I remember then thinking, oh, well, maybe I'd get that, or maybe I'd get a 16710 GMT, because I wanted something with a Pepsi bezel because it looked cool. But they were probably $6,000 at the time, or that little bit more. And I just thought, well...
And actually Explorer 2s would have been peanuts then.
Explorer 2s were peanuts.
I remember they were like...
They were still in the 4s.
They were still in the 4s, maybe even less, you know.
They were still in the 4s.
Certainly for a black dial, you could get one in the 3s.
But I remember then, like, if I'd had the courage to dive into 4-digit then...
Oh, God, you would have had a field day.
I could have got a 1655 for 12, 13.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like 6.2, 6.3s under 30 grand there.
Yeah.
Like 25s, low 20s.
Yeah.
Which obviously still felt like, as far
yeah,
as
55 and 3s for like
financially,
$6-7 grand for
yeah,
a nice
right.
one.
I mean,
for like a really nice one.
Yeah. But I had no means of knowing, and so there was real safety in the 5-digit stuff, because it was modern enough that I felt like I could take it to Rolex for a service, which obviously I now would think twice about doing. But anyway, so after the Omega stuff, from there I didn't go any further on modern Rolex at the time. I think my next one was probably either an Explorer 1, 114270, or the 16710 GMT. And around that same time, I got a Black Bay 58 OG as well, because they come out in 2018. No, they never did the 58 in a Smiley dial.
Right, okay.
That was the original sort of 42.
The one that came after
41, 42 mil case, yeah.
Yeah.
So the 58 came out in 2018, and that was a waitlist watch for at least a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was into the older, slightly older kind of 5-digit neo vintage thing.
Which
then.
I mean, you still are now, really.
Which I still am now.
Because it was quite. You're actually one of the few people I know where you've probably got a good 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Down the line of modern and vintage.
Yeah, I think and I wouldn't even rule out getting certain 6-digit Rolexes now. I still think there are a couple of good ones in the catalogue, you know. The new Explorer 1s obviously are still brilliant. OPs, brilliant. I really love the 6-digit GMTs, although I got rid of mine to turn it into a day date, which was an amazing decision, but we'll get to that. But I think there's a lot to enjoy in Rolex in 4-digit and 5-digit, and a couple of bits in 6-digit.
Yeah.
Like there's.
The one thing I can see that's missing, quite evidently,
Do you just happen to have one coming in?
No. Is actually a more of a neo vintage and vintage Tudor, because you are clearly into the brand.
Yeah, I am. Well, as you know,
and you're quite specific with what you buy within the brand as well. It's either a Pelagos or it's a Black Bay of some description.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I had a 7928 for a while.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of decided, well, do you know what? If I'm gonna do 4-digit Wilsdorf, I'm gonna stick to Rolex. And when I came in to see you recently and left with a 5513 sub, that was an interesting inflection point in that I'd been thinking, as you might remember, about a snowflake.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, because you have like, you know.
Because it would make sense to have a Tudor.
It makes sense because you have
like a sub.
The Black Bay with all the snowflake hands, and so the Pelagos.
Right, but at the end of the day, right at that time, 4-digit snowflakes are, well, I suppose all snowflakes are 4-digit, but you know, the snowflake sub, actually, for a really great one, costs more than a really good 5513.
Yeah, they're certainly there or thereabouts. Yeah, we had one in last week that didn't get to the site, and that was around 10 for a 7021 roulette.
Right, which is a beautiful one.
So yeah, you're right. So
you're right there, and
within a grand or so, it's about the same as a 5513. But I think what I would say, in fairness to the snowflakes, they're a lot harder to find.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's why what you see translated into price, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in the end, I kind of concluded I'll stick with the Rolex because I believe the movement is going to be more easily serviced. It's easier to find the parts. It's easier for people to deal with because it's a Rolex movement, not an ETA movement. And so I've kind of got that future serviceability angle.
It's probably the inverse though, because
Do you think so?
ETAs are they're just everywhere. It's actually strangely sometimes with the later snowflakes, with the quick set date movements and everything. It gets to a point where sometimes it's cheaper just to buy a new movement than it is to actually service it. But yeah, Rolex, the one issue that we'll encounter with Rolex over the course of time, and having spoken to a few of the accredited Rolex service centres, Rolex are clamping down on parts availability for external accredited watchmakers, which almost makes no sense because what's then the point of being accredited when you can't get the parts? But basically 3000 series up, no problem.
Yeah.
But then going back, they want everything to go to, in the UK certainly, to Bexley. So all the parts that currently exist outside of Rolex, of which there are a lot of, I think we'll see quite a high demand in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard from, our friend Richard, who I spoke to on the podcast, and he's an after-sales Rolex watchmaker, and he said to us before that the Tudor parts kind of go in waves, and you'll find a time where actually they're very easy to source, but other times where you go a whole year without being able to find that specific part. And so anyway, I guess I just kind of thought, stick with Rolex. It's also, your money's going to be more liquid if you ever need to get out of it. It seems like a less potentially volatile market. The Tudor subs, it feels like maybe, I don't know, you'll know.
Yeah, I think...
but maybe more at a ceiling, whereas the 5513 sub market feels like it's quite soft right now.
Yeah, it's also really stable. Like, really good examples will always sell, but they've been I sell 5513s today, same price I was selling them 3 years ago.
Right.
Whereas like some models like Double Red Sea Dwellers were actually more expensive 2018, 2019, 2020 than they are now.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually I'd probably go as far to say single reds as well. They're one of the few vintage pieces that have probably softened noticeably since COVID, but I think everything else is pretty much stable. Like 1675s just keep going up and up because they're a super popular watch. Day-dates are the same. Gold is back in now. And we're not a particularly heavy gold wearing country in the UK.
Right.
But abroad, they are.
Oh, sure.
But I'm noticing a huge uplift in gold pieces selling within the UK. White gold especially, as you know.
Yeah.
So difficult to find white gold day-dates now. And the prices keeps going through the roof. And actually it's starting to become the same for honest early 5-digit watches as well. Like good examples of 16710s with the proper bezel, serif bezels, Chichi Demise. Things that were just easily available are now
commonplace.
You're having to start thinking about where I can get these from now.
Well, this is it. And on the pod, even like a year ago or a year and a half ago, we were saying the joy of the 5-digit is you can just take it for a service to Rolex and they can just spruce it all up. And in that time, we thought, actually, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. But then you start realizing those watches are all kind of 20 years-ish old. And obviously, they run like they're bulletproof, right? But now's the time, if it hasn't happened already, where people are likely to take their Rolex back to Rolex.
Yeah, and we've got some pictures of it actually, and I'll get Will the videographer to put it in so you guys can see what I'm talking about. We had a one owner 16710 come in recently for a part exchange, and the guy just collected it from Rolex. He'd had it serviced twice before since 2003, and picked it up from Rolex to then bring to us. So it still had all its service stickers on, and I peeled the service stickers off the side to have a look at the case, and I think I showed you the picture of it.
You did.
It was by far the worst polishing I think I've ever seen on any Rolex. It was completely so far removed from what it should have been like. And when the guy then, I explained to him what it should look like. I had another one here, thankfully I could show him. And the first thing he says to me was, I thought it looked a bit different. but he couldn't put his finger on it. He'd done this watch for 25 years. He went back to Rolex on the same day, and they were like,
"It's what it is.
It's fine. We polished it, so it's fine."
Yeah, and it doesn't affect waterproofness or accuracy. So,
which is really all they care about. They care
all
about,
they care about.
Does that watch function like it did when we sold it to you 25 years ago?
That's right.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
There we go. It's function over form, unfortunately, but as we know, a lot of the value is in the form of the watch.
Well, and like you say, I'm sure today, if you buy a 2260 10, 6610, whatever the reference is for the modern sub, they'll have their tolerances and all of their specs for all of their machines all set up, so they know exactly how thick the case should be in the lugs. But they're not going to have that for a 16710.
And the people who were polishing them back in the day are probably no longer there, are they?
Right.
So yeah, it was just an example of one that happened really recently, and was quite striking.
Where do you want to go next?
Well, yeah. So I was going to ask you. So we have this. I've now tried to organise them in some sort of
look, you can't help
manner.
yourself.
I know it's a habit of mine. So we have a nice array here of 4-digit and 5 digits.
Yeah.
And you talk heavily about your watches on the podcast. Where do you, and obviously your Pelagoses, these are, in my head, these are your like holiday watches and going out and doing your DIY in the garden watches. I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but or walking about town in your t-shirt watches. Where would you, now you've done what you've done and you've collected what you collected thus far, and you sort of got 20 odd watches now. What's the next step for you? What are you thinking? Like, how is your collection going to evolve or de-evolve, shall we say?
Yeah, I don't know. For a long time, I really harboured this sort of romantic ideal of getting down to under 10 watches. And last year I had a big consolidation, and now I accept the fact that that's just nonsense.
Basically what you're saying is you've not done a very fucking good job.
No, I've done a terrible job. Well, I did a really good job, and then I undid it all very quickly through the power of eBay and bought up a load of
Tide
Tudors.
and watch meets and being drunk.
Well, yeah, I mean, I dipped back into kind of modern Tudor in a big way. I don't know, to be honest with you. I think
you are led astray heavily by your two podcast counterparts, to be honest, who also have a fetish for.
True, but it's kind of interesting in that Matt, now P&L Watch Collection, has gone so deeply into vintage Wilsdorf. Like he's very pot committed to that, but also has the other side of his personality, which is fully modern Tudor, right?
Which I saw on the weekend. Yeah,
and he's got the chronos, and he's just picked up that blue dial ceramic Black Bay and stuff like that. Whereas Darren, Diverse Watch Collector, he's just got a little bit of everything going on.
I mean, he literally is like the Woolworth pick and mix version.
The Bertie Bassett.
Of the collecting world. Like, I mean, he's not mucking around with his handle, Diverse Watch Collection. I mean, it literally is
he's true to his
diverse.
name. Whereas, and I'm true to my name, solid case backs only.
Yes.
But I think I'm really.
Are you really that put off by an expiration caseback? Like, is that just a bit of a joke, or are you really offended when you see?
I was very serious about it when I sort of came up with the solid caseback thing. But I think today I've mellowed a little bit in my dotage, and I think if we're talking about a Langer, or we're talking about something really spectacular that's got all sorts of amazing watchmaking.
Actually, saying that, we have the first expiration caseback Apollo 12 Speedmaster
I saw
from
just
the early
on your site
90s.
this morning.
And actually, with all the copper plating and everything, it's actually quite beautiful.
I think I really have so many bones to pick with modern Amiga, but the one thing that I will applaud them incessantly for is the Speedmaster. They haven't touched it really, let's be honest. They've just left it alone, and the fact that they offer it in this Hesalite solid caseback configuration, but also in the Sapphire Sandwich, I think it's brilliant. Give everyone the option, right?
Yeah.
And that movement, the 3861 movement, I really think it's gorgeous. I don't want to see it, But
Bracelet's
for those who do,
actually.
and the bracelet's fantastic. Well, actually, I could pick a hair or two. You know, I could nitpick. They could do some things better, like the micro adjusters a bit. You know.
Funky.
Anyway, but I'm all for having a display case back on a Speedmaster. It's a beautiful movement. My real thing though is on a Seamaster, why does an Omega 8800 movement? It's just a rotor. You can't see any functioning part of the movement through it. Why is there a display case back?
I agree.
And it might, you know, fucking why are Seiko putting display case backs on Seiko 5s? Blancpain, you know, people are just doing it because they think it makes the watch more
Well, it's calm. They can reissue it as another model and charge a bit more for it. I get it, but
it's bullshit.
I actually think one thing that Rolex do so well still,
yeah,
and it pains me to say it, is because I am an Omega lover at heart, and I think what Omega do, along with a few other brands, so badly, and Tudor are starting to do the same thing, is it's called option fatigue, and it's where you essentially sell so many different versions of the same thing that it just bamboozles people and they have no idea what they're buying. And I think a lot of that is why the secondary market of Tudors and Omegas and Blancpains are so bad, because...
Say Blancpain again?
Blancpain. Are so bad is because there are just too many. Like, why do you need 20 different types of Seamasters?
Well,
why do you need 15 different types of Speedmasters?
I think in the way that Tudor, I perceive, have recognised that they need to address wrist size. So they have the same watches for different wrist sizes. Whereas Omega think, look at all the colours on a colour palette, and we're going to do all of that stuff.
I mean, Tudor kind of do that with the Black Widow, don't they?
Well, they do it, but they don't overdo it, I think. But Omega famously have got like 5 million SKUs in their catalogue right now, and that's just too much.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think the thing that annoys me as well with them, especially about display case backs, is when you see, and Darren's got that summer blue Seamaster. They did like the Seamaster 7.
The one on the rubber strap.
And they've all got etched solid case backs. And when Omega does a solid case back, it's a beautiful thing to behold. Whether it's the old sort of 2254 wave,
yes,
you know, whether it's a Constellation case back.
Yeah, there's nice typography, there's texture.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
They do it so well, and it upsets me that they just don't bother with it anymore. But bollocks. Whatever.
Yeah, because actually the older case backs are probably nicer than these.
Well, right. I mean, you get an old school Speedmaster. If you get like a 145, you know, and the hippocampus case back, it's a beautiful thing, right? So anyway, I am into the solid case back thing, and I'm very grateful for it, because it means there are loads of watches I will not buy.
Yeah, you mean you're going to save yourself a load of money?
I can save myself a ton of money.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I fear that Rolex, I mean, we've seen it with the Platinum Daytona, the Le Mans. Now they're doing it on the 1908s. They're doing it on the Land Dwellers.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you can see it. They're shifting. And people will sit there and say, oh, you'll never get a Submariner with a solid. I think you will. Albeit in Rolex time, 20 years from now.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that day will come where across the board, Rolex are going, maybe not on an OP, but I think on most of their watches, we're going to see display case backs. So now's the time to buy up all of the solid case backs. And who knows, maybe engrave one or two.
Well, you know where to go for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a nice 1675.
It's lovely. So, lineage-wise, we have, for the viewers here, we have 3 5-digit. So,
yeah, you're right.
yeah, 3 5-digit. This is a 6-digit.
But only technically.
Just.
Because it's the Spirit.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And the 114270, which is this Explorer 1, that was launched in, correct me if I'm wrong, 2003. And it was one of 3 Rolexes that year that were launched in the new 6-digit. So there was that, there was the Daytona, and I forget what the third one was.
It was a little bit earlier, because they had the 116520, I think, came out in 2000.
Don't over.
2001, because
Oh, really?
yeah, A serial was the very last end towards the 16520. They just went into Swiss made, and then the 11 because PK and Y serial exists in 116/520s because you get the Panadars.
Sure.
So that means 2001, 2002, 2003. Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Don't get too raps.
But the only difference with this is no more drilled lugs.
Yeah.
And you've got the uprated 3130 movement with, I think, a silicon hairspring at that point. Anyway, but it's basically identical to a 14270.
Yeah.
But technically better.
Yeah.
So for me, still channeling the 5-digit, you've still got the jingly jangly.
I mean, again, like I've always said it, if you had to own one Rolex to do every single thing, you would own that over anything else.
And that's my most worn watch out of all of them. This one, it's just, I can put that on and just forget it's there.
Yeah.
Like just and
like you did with your Citizen.
Like I do with my Citizen, or then the Seamaster, or then without leaving it in the cinema, sure. But it's just one unit of perfection.
Now, when it comes to rotations, how do you do it? It's an interesting question I ask people because the more watches you have like this first world problem of, okay, I have all these watches. How do I wear them? And I have a client or two that have it's going to sound funny, but they have like an Excel spreadsheet of all their watches, right? And then they write down when they've worn them and for how long.
Yeah.
And then they have like a rotation calendar where sometimes it's just easy for them to go, I have these watches, I'm going to wear them all as much as each other, regardless if I feel like I want to or not, and force themselves. I think Ryan did a similar thing recently.
He's doing the 1 month challenge.
Where he's like 1 month challenge where somebody like he wakes up, he doesn't want to wear it, but it almost forces you to like get to know a watch a bit more, because the problem is that you have here is, and a lot of people will have the same and will feel exactly how you feel, is that I can see a few of these watches probably on the periphery that aren't anywhere near as valuable get less time. And I think when people spend a lot of money on a watch, they feel like they have to wear it more because it costs more. I've never had that personally, but
although it's funny, isn't it? Because there's a line somewhere out there where if you then go past that, then you don't want to wear it.
And exactly, and it's why I say value has nothing to do with how much you enjoy something.
No, it's relative to your value system.
And it comes to a point where the value would exceed a threshold that you're comfortable with at that point before you get used to that threshold. Because I'd imagine when you bought the Hulk, it was your most expensive watch you'd ever bought.
It was my second mechanical.
And you were probably a lot more conscious about it because you knew the value of it to you?
Yeah, do you know, like day 5 of owning the Hulk, I inadvertently bashed it into a 10-foot glass door, which put a beautiful nick on the bezel. And I felt crushed for about 5 minutes. But it was wonderfully liberating, because then it was like, right, well, that was the first thing, and now I don't need to worry about it.
Because I remember when you sold the Hulk, you said to me, because obviously you bought it as what you paid for it, it didn't feel like a X amount, like a 10,000+ pound watch anymore. And it
never was to me.
But you were more, because you associate with the value now, you felt a bit more conscious about it. I
think what I felt was, you hear all the stories about London and mugging and watch theft. And that's just a watch that, I genuinely think, and I hope to never be proven wrong.
You're going to be okay with it, like no one's going to.
But like stainless steel, like Explorer, no one's going to give it a second look, right? But a Hulk, it's got a bright green sun radar with that green bezel on it. It stands out. Yeah. More than a...
Certainly to the people who want to steal those things and sell them on, the types of people that are going to buy them.
It's more eye-catching, right?
That's the sort of thing they want.
And that was the only reason why on a summer's day in London, I might think twice. Because coming out of COVID, that thing was worth 25... Well, you'd see them listed for 25 grand, right?
Yeah, no, I remember,
and at that point, you do have to... I did find myself thinking... it wouldn't stop me wearing it, but I'd probably think about, well, am I going somewhere where I might, But
also, are you going to get the same enjoyment out of it anymore because of it?
Well,
because it's changed. Yeah. The object that it was when you bought it is now not. It's perceived differently, and that affects the way you can wear it. I had the same thing with a customer of mine. Was one of the early guys in the mill sub era. I'm talking like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Bought his first mill sub, £500, right? Wore it because that's how much they were then.
Sure, yeah.
Wore it gardening. He lives in Devon. We're on the beach, whatever it may be. It gets to like late 20, like late 10s, and the watch is worth 50, 60, 70 grand. And now he's suddenly like, first of all, it's not worth that to me.
Right.
Secondly, if that's what they're going for, I'm not going to get any enjoyment out of knowing that I'm wearing a watch of that value.
But also,
everything else in his collection was 3-4 grand.
But also, get me out of it, and I'll pay off the mortgage and buy a 5-digit sub.
I mean, So he sold it back like late teens for a significant amount of money, and he still would never consider having one again because he's not happy with walking around and owning things that are worth more than X amount of money.
Sure.
In his mind,
yeah.
and that value is different depending on who you are and what you collect.
Yeah.
So my question was, do things like this get as much of a look in than these, or do you get similar wear out of everything, and how do you structure your rotation?
I get similar wear out of almost everything. I confess. Those 3 watches up in the corner there.
These 3?
Those 3 do not.
Okay.
And I can get to those in a minute, but these, basically, I have a rotation system which is born out of insurance. So I'll have my 50 grand insurance limit, and then within that, I'll probably have 5 to 8 watches on a rotation. And I'll wear each watch, my aim would be to wear each watch 5 to 7 days at a time, because I generally derive more enjoyment from wearing them for multiple days than I would for a few hours or a day at a time.
So you almost have like a monthly rotation, 4 to 5 weeks, a week at a time.
Or it might go 2 months, do you know what I mean? And I might wear one watch more than once during that rotation, just how I feel about it. But I find, and I'd said it to Ryan actually when last I'd seen him, and I don't know if it had informed his month-long thing, but I was saying to him, how I appreciate that watch on day 7 is different than how I appreciate it on day 1. Because it'll probably take me a day or 2 to adjust. In terms of
better or worse, you mean? Like, because in the longer you wear it for, the better the experience becomes.
The better the experience becomes, but also the more profound my appreciation of that watch becomes. And there have been watches that I've put on for a week, and then at the end of the week I'll go, do you know what? I don't really like this watch so much anymore. It's time to move it on. And if I'd just worn it a day, I wouldn't have had that realization. Or I could be wearing my 1655 Explorer 2 and just feel like, I just don't want to take this watch off. I just don't want to take it off. But then my 16570 will be looking up at me and I'll think, but I do want to wear that.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, it's like that whole thing with if you're a musician playing gigs, you always want to leave the crowd wanting more, right? And I find that's a good moment to take a watch off, when I still want more from it.
Okay. That's interesting.
And that just sort of builds up my enjoyment of them and my love of them. But
it's a good way to also realise when you've had your time you watch, like you said, this isn't really singing to me anymore. That could then be a good time to go, well, I can try and consolidate that piece into something else that I've been looking at.
And it's taken me a lot of time to realise, when I bought a Hulk and I bought a Tintin and I bought a this and a that and the other, I just assumed I'm spending all of this huge amount of money on these watches, they're going to be mine forever. Today, my appreciation of watches is, some of these might well be mine forever, right? And my sub there, I was wearing that the day my daughter was born. I've got a picture of me holding her, like the day she was born, wearing that watch. I was married in that watch, like that watch is never going anywhere.
Okay.
There are other pieces that I have no interest in getting rid of just because I think they're fantastic. But then some of the other watches I own are in between those 2 points.
And everything in life is on a continuum, right? So it doesn't have to be a yes or a no, or I'll keep that forever, I might not.
Right.
From my experience, 20 odd years of collecting, it's all random.
It's all random.
And
That's right.
it's like food, it's like clothing, it's like fashion. Things change. You know, we were all wearing bloody bootcut jeans at one point and had long hair and mullets, but now that isn't as popular. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
No.
It just means that that's not what's in fashion at the moment. And it's like...
Baggy cargos are back, but I can't wear them.
Exactly right, yeah. I'm still dressing like I've just smashed into a Reese window after 10 years. I'm still going strong.
Strong look.
So yeah,
the rotation's something that I enjoy, and it allows me to enjoy all of these. And the ones up there that you referenced that don't really get a look in.
So we got the CWC with the titanium case, is that right?
So that's, yeah, and that's the one they
recent
did.
one, isn't it?
Yeah, so they did that in partnership with the Grey NATO podcast. So Jason Heaton and James Stacey. And they'd wanted to do a Grey NATO watch, and they hit it off with CWC. And so obviously CWC makes a lot of sense, right, to finally get into titanium, which is something they were doing anyway. So they made under 350 of those, and I was really pleased to be able to snag one. And you'll notice actually there are a few differences between this and the regular. It's got a 12-hour bezel instead of the fully graduated dive bezel. There's no quartz designation on the dial. There's a little orange.
There's no lume designation either. There's normally an L or a...
Yeah, there's a little orange bit of paint at the end of the second hand, and you've got the etched case back. It's a really cool watch,
Nice.
And obviously you've got the fixed lugs.
Yeah, lovely, like the Pelagos.
Like the Pelagos. And even the NATO that it comes on has got titanium hardware.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And the Studio Underdog, so really, I have worn that a bit, but I find it difficult.
It looks immaculate.
It's the nuts.
Never been touched, yeah.
Yeah, I've worn it like a few days. But I only got it, I guess, like 4 or 5 months ago.
I mean, with this as well, this looks like it's just...
The Studio Underdog
Packet.
is a great example of a watch where I went out and got absolutely shit-faced with Matt and Darren.
Yeah.
And we ended up in a watch shop.
Your fault, Matt and Darren.
Fact.
It's always their
we
fault.
ended up, mostly Darren, and we ended up at Time and Tide Studios, and it was my first time there, and it was just a really enjoyable experience being there, and they're lovely folks, and it's just a very different experience than going into pretty much any other watch shop.
And also it's at a price point where you don't really think about it, right?
And I'd always seen the Series 2 Studio Underdogs. I really like it. It's so clean.
This one where the dial glows, the whole
So
dial.
that's got a fully loomed dial. So that's the Full Moon Series 2 field watch. And it's just a great watch. But anyway, I was talking to the gentleman in there who worked there, and he sort of said, I didn't realise that you could still get them because they had one in the cabinet. Because a lot of Studio Underdog, they make a limited amount and then they sell them through. But they had one there, and I was immediately drunk and immediately tempted. So I thought, I'll use my get out of jail free card and say, but what's the accuracy like? And he said, well, actually, Richard tests every single watch that leaves the Studio Underdog, what do you call it, like studio, and this one's 3 seconds a day.
Oh, perfect.
For a manual wind watch, under $1,000, and I thought,
for a man that works in seconds for most of his life, that's important to you.
Absolutely. But I don't wear it much. But do you know what? When I do pop it on, it's this lovely palette cleanser. And I think both the CWC and the Studio Underdog for me, kind of when I hit the end of a rotation,
it's like your sorbet.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's this really nice.
Quite a nice way of saying it, actually.
Just pop it on for a day or two.
Yeah, reset.
And reset. That's right.
Especially if you've worn a lineage of, like if you want a lot of 4 or 5 digit Rolexes, it can start to feel like a bit overwhelming, probably.
Yeah. It's just a nice refresh, and then I can go back to thinking, I want an oyster bracelet again, please.
Yes. So is this yours?
So that is my dad's watch.
Oh wow.
Which you'd kindly breathed life back into by replacing the battery for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad was wearing that watch every day since he bought it in the mid-90s.
Wow, it's immaculate.
It's an Omega Constellation Quartz. I guess that's a 36mm case.
It's probably
thereabouts, 35.
Might even be smaller, might be 34, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because
the integrated, it probably wears a bit bigger.
Integrated bracelet, beautiful Constellation case back. It's not a watch that I would normally be drawn to, but obviously it's my dad's.
That's your dad's, yeah. Sentimental.
He was wearing it the day he passed away,
Oh.
and you know, it's just a fantastic keepsake and reminder of him. And yeah, so I don't wear that much. I've worn it once.
Something nice to pass
All
down
the
to
time.
your daughter as well, maybe.
Absolutely. Keep her away from my Rolexes.
And quartz, which means she now should.
And do you know
so
what?
practical.
You were the last person to set that watch, I think.
Yeah, and it's still.
And it's
yeah,
bang on.
I know. That is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So I want to go into a bit more depth, you know, with certain pieces that you have
Go.
that are really interesting, so the viewers can see
Sure.
a little bit more
This
about
is me at my most narcissistic.
what you've been collecting. So start off with this,
Yeah.
the Mark 1.
The Mark 1 1655.
1655.
Just what a fantastic watch.
Yeah, they're great. The Steve McQueens.
What a fantastic watch. It's unique, really, in all of Rolex, that design. Matt, again, is to blame, because Matt had picked up an original owner 1655, and I'd always seen pictures of them and thought they were beautiful, and I'd handled one or two at watch events, like watch meetups and stuff. But Matt got his, and we all met up, and he brought it along. And I just could not put it down. I've been with you a couple of times where you've put a watch in my hand and I've just been like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that was the
And
reaction
you had that with that, yeah.
I had with that. And I just thought, oh no, I need to get a 1655.
Yeah.
And when I did get it, I put it on and I didn't take it off for 5 weeks.
Nice.
It's just that classic 1655, 1675 case, which is
Well, exactly. It's
one
why
of the most wearable
You
cases
normally,
there
if you
is.
like that, you normally like that because
Right.
they wear the same.
Yeah. It's the same watch, right? It's just
Yeah.
different bezel, different handset, different dial,
Yeah.
but otherwise, it's the same.
It's a great combo. It's such it's a handsome watch, the 1655.
Yeah.
It wears so well. A lot of people find them quite busy,
Oh
but
no.
I like it. I like it because you've got that really big triangle at 12, the elongated 6 o'clock marker, which for me I've always liked, and you don't see it on any other watch in Rolex
Yeah.
in the Rolex catalogue.
It's totally unique, and
it is
it
very
speaks,
unique, yeah.
and it's so 70s design.
Yeah, and you can see why there probably wasn't a lot of love for it when it came out, because watches were a lot more clean then. You know,
Well,
when
It's
this
a
came
crazy
out,
looking watch.
when this came out, that was what it was sort of up against, which is
It was an upgrade, a supposed upgrade.
when someone saw that in the window, they would probably thought, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I think 50 years later, you know, like certain car designs have aged well, like
Well,
the F40, the E-Type Jag.
But you look at a Ferrari
911.
Daytona.
Yeah, I think they look better now than they did at the time.
For years looked weird.
Yeah.
Now looks gold.
Yeah, and I actually think that's true for this.
And I think you're right. I think there's a lot about 911 design. It
Yeah.
needs 20 years before it really starts to look
Yeah.
the nuts.
And I think what makes it special is, with other watches like the 1675, the 1016, the design language is the same from inception to now, really. They
Yeah.
haven't really changed it.
That's right.
Whereas actually with the 1655, completely different to an Explorer 2, 16550.
Yeah.
Like night and day.
Yeah.
There isn't really much design language left. They changed the dial, they changed, even the bezel font is completely different. There's no hashes.
Yeah.
And obviously the hand has gone from orange to a different colour. They've obviously reintroduced it again,
Yeah.
later watches, but I think it's one of the few vintage pieces that doesn't look anything like the lineage. It was like one and done with that.
I keep saying unique.
They sort of started again. It's like they were like, we'll just forget about that and we'll start the whole thing again.
I think it's really interesting if you look at that. If you step back from it being a Rolex, I think it really reminds me of some of the stuff Omega were doing at the time between Flight Masters.
Yes.
Some of the
really
Seamaster
experimental,
designs.
100%.
And Omega were jumping in terms of design language every year or two.
Hugely.
You were getting into really weird stuff, or you know, you look at the kind of the baby play prof or this watch. The 166
Amiga, like,
and they were jumping all over, right? But suddenly you were introducing a bit of color with like an orange hand or something that popped, and like you say, it's experimental. And then they were just like, yeah, no, bin it. We'll move on to something else.
Which actually Rolex I think that's one of the few watches that Rolex did it with.
Right.
Otherwise, they've been very, like you said, like with Porsche, they've incrementally, the 1675 to the 1650 matte dial, apart from the movement, it's basically identical.
It's like
the same dial. So it's like,
and maybe a Milgauss here or there, or a True Beat, or something that just didn't really respond commercially, and they're like, right, quietly send it off to its grave, and let's reimagine.
Whereas like Omega with this Baby Ploprof, at this time, when they were, you had a 120 range, you had a 600 range, you had a 1000 range, and then they used the cases for the waddles, like we have that massive chronograph Seamaster back in the 70s. Not a single watch was made at that point that was a chronograph that could go over 100 meters. Omega thought, oh fuck it, we'll give it a go. We'll also make a Flight Master as well for
we'll make it the size
pilots.
of a submersible.
Yeah, we'll do a Flight Master as well, and actually we can make the buttons match the hand that they're using on the dial to make it easier when you're to know what's what. I'm pretty sure the Omega design department in the 70s were just high every time they came into work. Because I think no other brand in a period of time was producing watches that was so different.
Right.
Over quite a large, the Speedmaster was kind of true. It was like incremental changes year on year.
And Hoya, I guess you see...
Yeah, Ortavia.
Right.
But like Omega did it on like a mass scale. You need to remember that Omega in the 70s was a huge business.
Sure.
And I have a book here just on Seamasters, and it's 650 pages long.
I bet.
Of just all these mad designs. It's absolutely fantastic. That's one of my favourites of yours, actually.
Yeah, that one's lovely, and that's a recent acquisition. But that was a watch that I was hunting, not particularly actively for, but I'd been on the lookout for 2-3 years, and I think Darren went and got one, unbeknownst to me, and that just made me think, I'm never going to find one now. But then this popped up in Australia at the start of the year at a preposterously good price. But I was very pleased because it's all original parts as best I can tell, and obviously these are usually not all original as a general rule, because Omega will have switched out dials, hands, and the bezel obviously is notoriously tricky.
100%.
Because those Bakelite are...
acrylic.
Oh, I beg your pardon?
Yeah, they were never Bakelite. Everyone says Bakelite because they like to say it, but...
it is a cool word.
It is a great word, yeah. The Ploprofs were Bakelite, but these are acrylic.
I stand corrected. The acrylic bezels are very susceptible to damage. And
yes, the top surface of the acrylic like flakes over time and peels.
And so Omega will remove them to replace the crystal and re-waterproof the watch, and in so doing will immediately break it and replace it with much less. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It's really good, yeah.
That is the best
bezel
action.
It's something to notice on these earlier bezels when they click like that.
It's
nicely,
fantastic.
because the worn ones have like quite an extended click.
Yeah.
So that's lovely.
Yeah, it's my second favourite bezel action after the Hulk.
Interesting, which you no longer have.
Which I no longer have. So now it's my first favourite. But yeah, that's a great one, and I had an eBay alert for it, which suddenly one day just bang.
Bosh.
To my great joy. Look where you've got there.
I've missed this. I've not picked it up because I sold it to you. I picked it up because I've missed looking at the dial, which I think I coined Peach Melba.
You certainly did.
Which I actually think, now I've seen it again, it's
a
entirely
pretty
accurate.
bang-on descriptor. Yeah. I'll do a little bit of marketing for you. This is the happy consequence of what happens when I phone you and say, I'm looking for, and on this occasion said, white gold day date, and you said, leave it with me.
Yeah.
And then you got Tommy to find one. But
yeah,
what a result, because not only did you find a particularly attractive white gold day date, but you called me up and said, this one's even more special because it does not have the standard silvered dial, but it has a dial that has patinaed in its, 35 years?
Yeah.
And now
so nice, isn't it?
Is a beautiful champagne-y, peach mulberry, almost salmon-y, and
I'm really feeling white gold at the moment, and it's become so
Quite right.
it's become so popular because you can, like you've said yourself, you can wear this with a short sleeve
Anywhere.
top anywhere, and people just think it's steel.
And that's thanks to the fact that up to 5-digit Rolex brush
They did,
the top
and
of the case.
it makes. I don't know if you guys have ever, you guys are watching, have ever seen the difference between the 5-digit and the 6-digit day dates, but it is insane how differently they look.
Yeah.
So with a 5-digit, you have a brushed top case, exactly like any other sports watch with the polished side, and brushed outer parts of the links with the polished center links. But when they went to a 6-digit, this is all polished, and the circumference, like the thickness of the actual fluted bezel, increases as well. And it's so much more.
It just screams, look at me.
Yeah.
And this does not.
And the weight as well. The heavy link bracelet outweighs the head of the watch, so you get this like weight imbalance. Whereas that's just such a nice weight.
And I hadn't appreciated it until I got it, but the feel of the white gold versus steel is so different. It's
reassuring.
It's just lovely, and the extra weight that I'd sort of been worried about, am I going to feel it? Is it going to make it uncomfortable? But with the President bracelet that's got all those points of articulation, so comfy. And yeah, the moment I put it on, it feels a little bit heavier than the Tudor I was wearing earlier.
Yeah.
But
I bet you
within 10 minutes,
I bet you that's
don't notice
only
it.
15 grams heavier than a modern sports Pepsi.
I bet, and significantly less than a modern Explorer 2.
Massively less.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's where I've always struggled with titanium. With the value of titanium, because I think you associate weight with quality, right?
Well, I think that's what modern Rolex is trying to achieve. That, it weighs more, therefore it is better. But actually...
Which is wrong to think that, but I think there's something that, it's like platinum, really heavy, more expensive than gold.
I think when you get into precious metal, that's where you start to feel the difference. I think titanium's an interesting one with Rolex because obviously you've got the Rolex Yachtmaster 2.
Yeah.
Yachtmaster, not Yachtmaster 2. And that is what is that, a 14 grand watch or something?
Yeah.
And actually when you see one, the finishing is impeccable. But I found it to be quite a characterless watch.
We had one in part exchange recently, and I thought the exact same thing.
Whereas, give me a Pelagos 39, which is a retail of I think 4K, brand new, but 2.5 grand on eBay, maybe even less. And I'm popping champagne corks for that because the value is ridiculous. What you're getting with that, which is essentially
even
a modern Tudor snowflake sub.
Even on the secondary market, they're like the value is, as you would say, preposterous. So
I'd say preposterous. You're catching me out now.
Preposterous.
Preposterous.
Yeah.
There we are.
Christ, that's actually quite a difficult word to say.
Well,
surprised you say it so much on the podcast.
But I think
because how much is that worth now?
Well, to me, priceless because this is the podcast watch. But yeah, I just bought this in January for 2,399 English pounds.
Mental.
This is, that's to me one of the very best dive watches you can buy today.
Yeah.
It's a Tudor snowflake, fully graduated bezel. The loom on it's off the hook. It's so light on your wrist.
The great thing about this type of case is you can wear it as a belt. I'm glad you said that. If you had the NATO long enough,
I thought
you can use it to keep your trousers up.
That's right. I thought you were going elsewhere with that. But these watches are so good, and I defy anyone to find a better value dive watch.
And I don't wear modern watches very often, but when I do, I wear my MN that we got off you, that we had the dial done. I wore it recently on holiday, and it just a fantastic watch to wear. And I thought the exact same thing. What can you buy that looks that cool for under $3 grand?
You really can't. And I think even this,
modern.
No, for sure.
Modern watches now are actually proportionally to vintage, are very expensive. And we see this all the time when people come in and part exchange modern watches. They're always happily surprised actually how affordable vintage is comparatively to its modern you know, it's a modern counterpart. Certainly with something that's a lot harder to find.
But it depends what you're getting into, doesn't it? But I mean, here's a Tudor Black Bay 58, the blue one, and I picked that up for $2,000.
Yeah.
$2,000. Find me a better watch for $2,000.
Amazing.
It's fantastic, and that'll just keep looking great for years to come. So I think they offer a lot, and maybe at retail you could say, well, all right, the Burgundy was $4,000. Could I find a better watch for $4,000? Well, maybe I could.
Yeah, the MN. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but exactly. That's the pool I'm shopping in.
So, if I was to say to you now, and it's a very difficult question to put you on the spot with, I know. Try your best. If I was to say to you now, right, you have to get the collection down to 10 today. No ifs, no buts. What 10 are you keeping?
Well, it's not that I've thought about this or anything, but I'm just going to stick with the 9 Rolexes.
Oh, right, okay.
So, and I'll take a Tudor.
Oh, that was pretty unimaginative. I thought you were going to come out with this like equation of,
well, no.
Well, I'd have that, I wouldn't have that, I would, you know.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, if I start thinking about it, but this is like a rabbit hole. If I start thinking about it, suddenly the Hoya creeps in, because I just think that watch is ridiculous. And you saw the look on my face when you...
And you want the chronograph guy, actually. You know, you only own one other chronograph.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah.
You quite like, you definitely have a thing, like a dial type that you like.
For sure.
You know, you don't like busy dials, clean dials. You also don't care about date or no date, do you? You're not one of these people who like, I'm very much, so with me, 5513, I'd wear a gilt. 5513, I wouldn't wear a matte. But I'd wear a 1680, hence why I'm wearing one. But I wouldn't wear a 16610, but I'd wear a 14060.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Which is makes no sense really, but completely strange. But I would wear this in a heartbeat, but I wouldn't wear 16610.
But that's the correct choice.
But then I wouldn't wear a matte 5513, but I'd wear a gilt 5513.
But I think if you want to get into it, that's because this really closes the circle on the 5512. The 4 lines of text.
True.
It is the ultimate evolution
yes, it is.
of what began in 1959.
Yeah.
Right? And was it 59?
Yeah.
And the 1680 is an important watch because that's the first sub-date. So that's totally allowed.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, my vintage Rolex is all matte dial. Gilt would be a whole evolution.
So now you've been collecting for what? You've been collecting for a good...
Well, properly, I'd say.
Years.
Well, but
properly for 10.
Yeah.
Would going old. So the oldest watch that you currently own is the 1655
and the 5513.
And the 5513, early 70s,
which are both 71.
Would you start going down into 60s, into gilt, into zinc, into zinc sulfide, into that sort of era?
I think if I was going to go. I think if I was going to get into the 60s, I'd just skip late 60s, right?
Yeah.
I'd just skip it and go into early.
Yeah. Because also I think, because you like this, I think you would like the 60s chronographs that are not Rolex, because they're obviously hugely expensive. But
there's a lot to like there, and I think there's a whole rabbit hole, and it's kind of interesting actually when you go. It was funny you talk about the chronographs. I was looking at a Hairspring post where he had a 40s, I can't remember the reference, a 40s Rolex chrono. It was a 2-register. Anyway.
Something like a 4500.
But it still had a Valjoux 72 in it.
Yeah.
And it's easy to sort of think about, it's easy for me anyway, to think about classic Rolex being these oyster case, oyster bracelet, all of that sort of design that was born out of the 50s, but really the foundations were all laid in the 40s, really, right? For so many of those watches.
with what they call the monoblock case.
Yeah, and so these are all kind of evolutions. And so going back to the 60s, I would find easy. It's just finding the good examples, and I think then you're looking at into the 30s for a sub. Right?
Certainly for Rolex, yeah. I think if you're going to go...
if you go 1675 gilt, same sort of thing, 35 to 40. I mean, maybe even more.
Less, but yeah. 20s, certainly.
And then, of course, if you're a Daytona fan, you're in really deep shit.
Yeah, you're in deep shit, yeah.
So, so I don't know. I think maybe if I was going to do it on anything, it could be the Explorer, but this is an 84 Explorer 1 1016, and this is just my happy place. It's just in such great shape. Yeah. I love the matte dial.
Your main issue, actually, your main issue with getting watches of high value is your ability to insure them and use them.
Well, there's
because
that.
if you've got a 50 grand limit and you've got a gilt 1675 and a 55 13 gilt, you're kind of pretty much there or thereabouts.
Well, there are some people who sort of say to me, well, you could just consolidate the lot, get a 6236.
Yeah, but that's not going to make you
have a modern Speedmaster or a modern blah blah blah, and then you're good, right?
It does that to me doesn't make sense, and the reason is I've been involved in the car world for quite a long time, and if you were to do the same thing with cars,
you've never mentioned that, by the way.
If you do the same thing with cars, you wouldn't be happy with an F40, like selling your entire car and just have one F40, and then just like
a Golf.
Yeah, because it just you wouldn't want to use it that much, and you would get very limited use out of it. The guys I know that are happy with their car collection have a wide array of cars, from expensive stuff that they use every now and again, because the more mileage you put on a car like that, the more it devalues it.
Sure.
To stuff that's like, 10, 15 grand that they can use happily and not have to worry about.
Yeah.
So, and like we said earlier in the conversation about value doesn't equate to happiness, it doesn't equate to enjoyment.
No.
And often you'll find that values that you're happy with, which is clearly this range, you all wear them equally, you all enjoy them equally.
That's right.
Whether it's 2.5 grand or 15 grand.
Well, right, and this Explorer 2 is in theory worth 10 of these Tudors.
But it doesn't give you 10 times the enjoyment.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I love it, but it's certainly not on that order of magnitude of that much more enjoyment.
Oh, well, I'm glad you agree with me.
Yeah.
Not often.
Au contraire.
So finally, what's the next stage with the podcast?
With the podcast?
Because I didn't ask Matt much about the podcast when he was on.
I mean, and
obviously since that video, it's evolved even more so since then. Are you going to start doing Joe Rogan vibe live? Sure,
that's us all over, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
we love that.
You're dressed like him and you look a bit like him, just not as muscly.
It's the nicest thing you've said to me all for the last 5 minutes. I don't know. I mean, you say that as if we have any kind of plan with the podcast, which is one of the joys of the podcast. Is we just don't bother.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you haven't. Maybe I've overthought it, but I just thought I'd ask because people will be interested.
I think we just enjoy talking shit for 2-3 hours on a Sunday evening to each other, and sometimes we get a friend to come on, as we did with you, which was fantastic. Which just adds to the hilarity, really, and who knows, we might even learn a thing or two. But we've had people say, "Oh, you should do video and YouTube," but that's all a massive ball ache, really. And so I think we'll just kind of keep doing what we're doing. We might potentially look at doing some kind of live event at some point, and just do a live one in the back of a pub or I don't know what, and that might
like
be
the Grand Tour, but on a really low budget.
Yes, whatever the opposite of grand is, just the
not so grand tour, you could call it. Maybe that is the name.
The Poundland version of that, yeah, precisely. Because I think like one of the real joys we always end up saying, really, beyond just the watches, it's the people, right?
Yeah.
And it's just always so nice to just spend time talking to other people who are into it. And it's kind of crazy that the podcast, it's not like, we're number one on Netflix or something. Like, we're just this little podcast and that's all it is. But we have like a regular listenership of like, I don't know,
great.
I think we get like 1,500 downloads a week or something, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's great. And I think in a world where, everyone's busy and with everything that's going on, it's nice just to sit there, if your family allow it, for an hour.
Well, that's what headphones are for.
On your own, just having a bit of a laugh and a bit of a downtime. And I think that's where you guys nail it, whereas you're not lecturing people. You're not like certain podcasts where you're like, oh wow, this is like me being in a lecture at university.
Don't do as we do, because we're idiots. But I think it's just good fun, and the day it stops being good fun, I think, is the day that we won't. But
a live event would be good though. I think that'll be a very well subscribed thing.
I think that could be
just
really
don't do it in a Wetherspoons.
Yeah. Well, at least the beer will be cheap. I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think stuff like that would be really good, and just kind of getting out there a bit more would be a nice thing. Yeah. But we don't have any aspirations to like getting sponsors or stuff like that, because who do you get to? I mean, don't be wrong. If Rolex or Tudor want to come and give us some of their watches or whatever, we'll take them. I say we'll take them. I'm not having a fucking yacht master.
Can you imagine the MD calls you up, like, guys, want to sponsor the podcast? Want to give you each a yacht master? You'd be like, no, thank you.
No. Have you even listened to the podcast?
Have you even listened? Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, but I think we'll just keep doing what we do. But
maybe like a Christmas special.
Maybe like
a Christmas special.
100%.
Where you get on 3 or 4 of your guests and you just
I think that's right.
do like, I don't know, something fun, like a funny quiz.
100%. And I guess next year we'll have our 100th episode at some point, so that'll be something to do something like
that'll
that
be cool.
As well.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird. Like, we've been going for over a year and a half now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts, isn't it?
What episode are you on now?
The last one we put up was 70.
Wow.
And
so in terms of hours of podcasting, how many
we must
hours
be
of that
on or around 70, because at the start we did like half hours because we didn't know what we were doing, and then everyone went, this is great, but it's over before it's even started, so sort it out. So we moved to an hour, I think, within
it's probably 90 plus hours of talking, isn't it?
The way that we go on, yeah, for sure. And yeah, we've had some really good guests, and I mean, it's been
you have. No, you have, 100%.
Your good self, obviously, very much included.
Yeah.
But also some people who,
aren't nice people.
Are nice people. Exactly. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, listen, thank you so much for finally coming in and showing your face. Wonderful face it is.
Apologies to all.
And it's been great to see you.
It's been great to see you.
I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for bringing in your eclectic mix of watches.
Yeah, that's right.
When I say eclectic, I don't mean that.
No,
I mean just.
Darren will be coming out in rashes with the lack of diversity. Look, there are ones with dates and ones without dates.
And maybe one day, who knows, we might see you with a not so solid case back.
No, I don't think so.
I think we will.
I
think we will. When you get older and a bit softer,
I'm already old enough.
A bit wiser.
If the day comes where I kind of get into something like a Burneron or a Langer or one of those, but I don't know that that's really something that I'm gonna.
Well, watch this space, I guess.
Watch this space.
Hey, it's been so nice to see you. Thank you again for coming in. It's been a real pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much.